One. Hey, folks, welcome to the Morning Call Show. I'm Bob Sellers, former anchor at CNBC and Fox News, where I worked with my esteemed colleague here, Jerry Burke. Also, I worked in a lot of local markets, folks, over a number of years. On and off, I probably have spent more than 30 years in television, so I've kind of seen a lot. I was at Wall Street covering that when the dot-com boom and bust happened, and I went to Iraq during the Iraq War in June and July of 2003. So I've kind of seen a few things, including good and bad television, and more extreme television, right and left. And that's one of the things Jerry and I are trying to identify and then find out, is there some common sense in the middle?
Yes. Thank you, Bob. Good morning. Those who know me, looking at me now, are just cracking up because they can't believe a pirate such as I has gotten himself a platform. I have done many forms of journalism, from working with Maury Povich to launching Fox News with Roger Ailes, and working at CNBC with Bob. I have a lot of good stories for you today, Bob.
Okay.
And this,
Let's get it.
The first story that I'm going to expound is the reason why we're here. It's about the left, center, right of news and media. And we love these kinds of stories because we like to chew on them. You know, I, maybe unlike you, have taken a journalism class from Seton Hall University. So I know from whence I speak. But in order to get the headline out, well, tomorrow at the bottom there, you see the primaries are tomorrow. Very big day tomorrow. It's a real test.
In fact, let's put up a graphic. How about this? We're
how
taking it
about
from
you?
Fox, but we're adding value, okay? So
yes, we are. Now, tomorrow's a big day for the socialist Democrats, or commies, as I like to call them. But especially Michigan.
Wait a minute.
What? Did I just slip one past the goalie?
When you start talking about the commies now, people are going to think, okay, here are a couple right-wing people, which I don't. For myself, I know I'm not.
For the viewer, I just did that to,
Okay, that's what I got it
to piss off Bob. Yeah.
I got the joke, but I want to make sure people who are tuning in for the first time understand that you're kind of throwing that red meat out there and kind of teasing people because that's the way it is represented on the right, is all these commies that are running for office. So go ahead.
Right. Well, if Jerry Springer ran a newspaper, I think that I would be the editor-in-chief. But we have Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Kansas, and Virginia, and a real test for the socialist Democrats, as they call themselves, especially El Sayed. Did you hear what Bernie Sanders said? I need El Sayed in the Senate with me. I need him.
Yeah.
You remember the Democrats, though, had this a long time coming because they screwed Bernie over.
I was just going to say, remind me what's different about Bernie.
Well, what do they call the roosters are coming home to roost or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, he identifies as a socialist, and
but Hillary screwed him in 2016. He was going to run for president, and they just shut him down.
I think the party did. I think the party decided we can't. But also, Jerry, in the same way that in 2020, they said, oh my God, Biden's got to win. So they went to South Carolina. And by the way, what's the first primary in this coming cycle for the Democrats?
South Carolina.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll keep an eye on that. But getting to the lead story today.
Oh,
this is I cooked this one up just for Robert.
Okay.
This is an exclusive from the New York Post, so take it for what it's worth. But ex-60 Minutes boss, Bill Owens. Yeah. Now, remember him, he was let go in a purge because 60 Minutes and CBS, there was a lot of media mergers last year or the year before, and they got bought by a slightly more conservative, right-leaning company.
Yeah.
And then the axe fell. And they sent in Barry Weiss, who worked for a right-leaning webpage.
Right.
Now, get this, a year later, now Barry's been under attack every day. There's almost been walkouts in the CBS, especially the 60 Minutes newsroom. So
Right.
now the ex 60 Minutes boss, Bill Owens, wants to launch a rival news show with Scott Pelley and other fired staffers to fight
Okay.
back against CBS and 60 Minutes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I mean, you're the EP. What do you think about that?
I think they're idiots and they're fools, and their righteous indignation is going to hoist them by their own petard, because already they're seeking to raise around $50 million for this little, I guess, what are they going to do? Stream it or do
Okay.
what we're doing on Instagram
Okay.
and YouTube? $50 million?
Yeah.
And people, critics were
50-50?
50
Okay.
million dollars for 2
Do
years.
they need that much? I mean, that kind of tells you what the problem is in network television, right? The
Yeah.
cost associated with it.
No. How much are we making? Right? How much does it
Less
cost to
than
put this
50
thing?
million.
Slightly south of 50 million. Now, this is one of the criticisms, is that a source familiar with the plan said, I think they're asking for too much money. They're looking at the old 60 Minutes model, and
That's
they're
right.
all used to mega salaries.
Yes, they are. And that's the point I was making, is that's the problem with network TV. The business model no longer works. And so now I would take a little different angle on this, Jerry, as I assume you knew I would. And that
Yes.
I didn't see anything wrong with 60 Minutes for its audience. It's been a very successful franchise since what, the 60s?
Yeah.
And to come in and think, oh, it's not conservative enough, so we're going to come in, you alienate the very people that put you where you were. And I don't think that's smart business wise. Look at CBS is having some real problems. I think its morning show is struggling. Its
Yeah.
evening news is struggling. They're getting worse ratings than they have in decades. And in some cases, worse than ever.
Right.
And for what? To go to the right.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I have as a business person with this, is there is a market for people who want to see more conservative news. And if you want to find it, you can find it. It's not like 1992, okay?
Right.
It's out there. And you and I've worked for those places. We know where they are. And so do the viewers. So you come in and you take
you're right.
that you may not like it. I just feel, Jerry, that there's room for different viewpoints, but what CBS is trying to do is change it in the same way Washington Post is struggling, because they've tried to become a more conservative platform, and it's not working. At least if you look at, it's not working.
You can't chase every single different viewer. That's not the way it works. Let me tell you a quick story. I went out to LA briefly. I was working for a show out there, and my boss said, let's pull over. I got to get a newspaper. This was in the 90s. And we get out and we walk to the corner, and there's like a newsstand, right? But it wraps around the corner. And I go and I look around the corner, and it goes half a block of every single magazine and newspaper you could ever possibly think of. There was like the something like the Southeast Asian newspaper from Hong Kong. It was just crazy. Every little spot was filled, so you could get. It was like looking inside the world's brain.
Jerry, did I ever tell you I published a small newspaper when I lived in LA?
Did you?
I did. It was about sports. It was called the Sports Rag. And it was a kind of an irreverent look at sports. And it was a great online idea before there was online. So
I gotta remember that.
Yeah.
Bob's a mogul.
I didn't make money doing it. I mean, I did sell ads to support it. I had a couple writers, a couple people selling ads, and obviously it didn't succeed, but I think that was the idea. There has to be a room for different voices instead of
I
just
agree.
one.
I agree. I'm Irish. Both of my parents are from Ireland, and I seem to have inherited not only their gift for gab, but their gift for conflict. And as a matter of fact, my mother once said to me, just as a young child, she said, Jerry Burke, you could start a fight in an empty room.
Well, that also makes good TV, right?
I gravitated naturally
Yes.
to it. But so let me give you another story.
Sure.
And then maybe you have one or two.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm almost reluctant to give this headline, but Trump reveals he has called off the biggest attack since World War II.
Right.
And how this move may lead to a historic deal. Like, what time is it? What month is it?
Right.
You know? What does he hope to gain?
Well, you're asking me that, but you obviously have some thoughts about it. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I've never seen this situation before. And I'm biased because I have a son in the Army.
Okay.
And he's right now stationed in Oklahoma at Fort Sill. So if there's boots on the ground, he's in charge of an artillery unit. And he's going to be packed on a C-130 cargo plane. And, so every fiber in my body says that Iran is just kicking the can down the road. They're bullshitting us, and they're frantically digging out all the uranium that we bombed to buy them time. So I'm torn on this one.
Well, I have family, not immediate family, but I have family that a couple who are deployed. And also within my family, we have connections to people who one is training and is about to be deployed to Korea. Obviously, that can change. Another family member is in Israel. So I have not quite the connection you do, Jerry. But let me say this. I think Trump looks at the stock market and he looks at public opinion and he tries to manipulate both. And Iran, I don't like them. And I want to make clear, I'm for the American forces, okay? I just think the leadership at the very top may not understand asynchronous warfare, may not understand that, they know that if we chose to, we could drop a bomb and it's over. They know that. But they do things like, the Strait of Hormuz, it's closed. Oh, maybe it's open. Oh, maybe it's closed. Or we're not sure. And then they go bomb something and they stir up all kinds of things. So I think that Trump doesn't have the control. So he says one thing to try to scare them. I don't think it does. In fact, I was reading that the Iranians say, we don't have any talks going on. This right after Trump says, we're close to a deal. Now, people that I do know that follow what's going on there say that Trump is exploring possibly trying to get rid of this leadership. In other words, take them out so that maybe the replacements, the next leadership might be easier to deal with.
Right.
Don't know that works. I think he's flummoxed by the situation.
Well, the thing is, I grew up in New York, and this style of his has not changed since I was a little boy.
That's true.
I still remember him fighting with Mayor Abe Beame over the Central Park skating rink. I'm like, this guy, he's got so much time on his hands. He can fight over a skating rink, But,
which, by the way, is a delightful place to go ice skating in the winter.
Yeah, it is.
We did that back in 2020. Around Christmas time, right as the pandemic was setting in, and it's a lot of fun if you get there.
No, highly recommend. Highly recommend. So, do you have a story? I have one more, but it's about Fauci. So,
okay, well, let's not go back in time with that. I mean, we will, but let me throw one thing out that I thought was interesting. I don't know if you recognize this person, but she spoke over the weekend.
Who is she?
And this is somebody, she used to be the vice president of the United States. She also was the border czar. And she also was a senator from California and the attorney general from California. Her name is Kamala Harris, something like that.
Okay.
And so she appeared this weekend. And she said the quiet part out loud. This shows you how the Democrats, again, I'm going to quote you, and it'll probably be more than one. Bob, I'm going to save you from yourself. And when I got ready to do something, you say, yeah, you're not going to do that. So in this case, the Democrats can't save them. Nobody's saving them from themselves. So she goes out and she says, first of all, we need 13 members of the Supreme Court. And so she wants to add it to the Supreme Court. She wants to add Puerto Rico and DC as states. Well, gee, what would be the result? It'd be 4 more Democratic senators, presumably. And then what else did she say? Oh, she wants to get rid of the Electoral College. I mean, these are things that you always hint around on the extremes.
Right.
She's actually coming out and saying that because I think she's freaking out that there are other people who are polling better than her in some situations. And so she thinks that, wow, she might not be the nominee, and she's not going to be. So what she does is she comes out and actually hurts her own party, because what's the best thing for Republicans? The best thing for Republicans is to not only portray the Democrats as far left, but for them to portray themselves as.
And you know who was? She's polling at the bottom. Over the weekend, I was looking at a lot of different polls. Pete Buttigieg is now #1 frontrunner.
Yeah, and you know what I always remember with him? As an American, I found it offensive that he came into office as the Secretary of Transportation during the pandemic, and unbeknownst to all of us, he was taking parental leave because they had a kid. And it's like, no, you're working for 340 million people now. That's not on the plate.
Yeah.
Either don't accept the job, but don't you know.
We have to go back. There's a piece of video that we have to go back and get. He was every day at the Department of Transportation. There'd be a lineup of cameras to watch him arrive at work. And so lo and behold, around the corner comes Pete on a bike. So Pete starts riding his bike to work every day. And I'm thinking, holy shit, he's coming all the way from where? Georgetown or whatever. And he doesn't look sweaty or anything. He looks like he popped out of a box. Right. So after a couple of days, somebody's smart enough, these, idiots in the gaggle, one of them goes up to the corner and waits. And lo and behold, a black van pulls over. Out of the back comes Pete's bike. Pete gets out the side, gets on the bike, pedals around the corner. That's about a half a block to work.
So you had a reporter see that?
Oh, yeah. So we got to dig that out. It's like the video's got to be 8 years old now, and I'm sure it's, people have long forgotten about it. But that's what you're dealing with, theater.
That's not right. That's just not right. What else you have? We'll kind of go back and forth here.
Well, let me see what I got.
Oh, you're going to do Fauci? Is there something interesting of Fauci other than?
Well, that depends.
No one cares about this. We should care about what's happening right now. America doesn't care about what happened 5 years ago. Hey.
Oh yeah. It's Joe Rogan going off on this weekend. He was going off on how CNN and those on the left are saying, why don't we just forget about this? This happened a long time ago. And what purpose does it serve now to dig all this up? Who cares if he pled the fifth? That was stuff that happened a long time ago.
Yeah, you and I talked about this last week, and I feel like he could have provided a lot of really good information. He could have helped us understand, well, here's what happened. Okay, here's what I got wrong. And I think if he said it, he would have been covered, right, by the pardon, because he was given a pardon on the way out by Biden. And I think a lot of us could have learned something about the Wuhan process and how this ended up getting out, if that's what happened. I mean, obviously, it wasn't a wet market, for God's sake. But it could have been a lot of good information. So instead, he pleads the fifth. I didn't like that. However, Jerry, I think there are a number of states, including Florida possibly, who want to bring him up on charges because the pardon from the federal level doesn't apply to local statutes or state statutes, right?
Yeah, the Florida Attorney General wants to bring him up.
Well, then that justifies him taking the fifth. Then that explains
True.
exactly why he did. And
All right. Well, let me. What about this weekend? Did you see RFK Jr. going batshit on Dana
yes,
Lash?
yes,
You know, or Dana, as Wolf Blitzer calls her.
yeah, yeah.
He said she kept asking, you know, where's the proof? Where's the proof? And he goes, I don't need the proof. Where's your proof?
Mhm.
You know, I know what I'm talking about. I do it for a living. Where's your proof?
Well, I think there are questions as far as RFK's qualifications to give medical advice. I mean, that is one of the reasons they have Dr. Oz. And no, I am not Dr. Oz, even though I've been stopped multiple times.
Yeah, we have to show that
Thank you
picture.
that I
I
am.
took a picture of Bob and
You
Dr.
did.
Oz. Yeah,
Okay,
together at a party.
Soon I'll get that.
Identical.
I'll show that to people. He's gone more gray though, and no, I don't color my hair, but
Yeah.
I've multiple times.
Also,
I've been-
somebody took a screen grab from the interview, and they zoomed in on Dana's pile of preparation,
yeah,
and it was like this thick. And RFK had nothing. You think somewhere in there, if she was going to counter him on the facts, that she would have something based on what she was questioning him on.
well, I didn't like the interview, although I don't mind when journalists stand up for themselves. But I didn't think she did a particularly good job doing it. Like you said, if she could have said, I mean, because you can anticipate some of his responses, right? Well, let me give you this right here, and let's run this clip and show you.
Right.
And maybe you have something, because again, there are many reasons I like RFK Jr. I think the food industry is designed to generate a lot of money and provide really bad nutrition because they make a lot of money doing it. So I'm on board with that, but I'm not completely anti-vax. I mean, some of these things have saved lives. Those of us who are old enough, Jerry, I'm old enough to remember people dying of certain maladies when I was a kid.
No,
and
true.
vaccines change that, but I'm not saying all, and I'm not saying in this case it should have been mandatory. You
Oh my
and I
God.
were working-
When I was a kid, they scared the crap out of us every year with a new test. We had, you remember scoliosis? We had to bend over and touch our knees or our toes if you could.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then polio was still a thing, and they'd show you pictures of kids in a tube.
Right.
You know, it was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true.
But from a producer's point of view, I thought she came across as pompous, unprepared, you know, and knowing her and knowing talent like her, I am sure that she left the set thinking that it was a slam dunk for her.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I'm seeing something different going on now, Jerry. I think a lot of these journalists now have decided to challenge the Trump people.
Yeah.
The only problem I had with her doing that, because I'm all on board for challenging. I think that's one of the jobs of the media, of journalists, is to hold those in power accountable. However, I didn't think she did a good job at it.
Right.
I mean, she had no sound bites. She had no
no call for us.
quotes,
They're called
nothing to call up. If you're really going to challenge him, why not say, okay, you said this about measles, and now we have more measles cases than ever before. Now, I don't know how you are, Jerry.
No, ill prepared. I mean, this was a missed opportunity. This is a cabinet member. Cabinet member. She's probably got more than one producer. She's got a string of them, right? Yeah. They had plenty of time, and it's not like he's going anywhere. He's right there. She had all the time in the world. She was unprepared. She thought she could just roll over him. He's a Kennedy at the end of the day. You don't fuck with Kennedys.
May I quote you?
I'm going to close the show with that from now on. Instead of breaking news changes everything, it'd be just like, don't fuck with the Kennedys.
Okay, I got to get into this because this story really got my attention. I don't have the video, but you've heard of Sophie Cunningham, right?
Yes. Yes.
This is going on in the WNBA. She's known as the one that pointed, right? And
the
backstory on that, by the way, the backstory is that she was in a play which they mixed it up, and she got a foul called on her, and she was like, well, to the ref, are you going to call one on her too? And then the other girl said, don't point at me. And that's when she got pointed. It's like,
what grade are they in?
because this yeah. However, this girl has been protecting Caitlin Clark for the
Yeah,
whole time
true.
that they've both been at the Indiana Fever. And Caitlin Clark gets a lot of things called on her that shouldn't be. And this weekend there was a foul from a player who came across like that and really clipped Sophie Cunningham. If I can, I'll show the video at some point. But
Yeah.
the foul was called on Sophie Cunningham. It was a bad call. Anyway, the more depth to the story, Jerry, is she is getting a lot of pressure now because she came out and said that she doesn't believe biological men should be playing sports with women. And every time she got the ball playing in Minnesota, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they booed. The crowd booed at her because she said that. And then the coach of the other team wore a shirt that says trans kids matter or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And she was just trying to look out, as her explanation is, look out for women. Here's the reality, Jerry. The only reason the WNBA exists is that the NBA exists. It funds a lot of what happens in the WNBA. Have they increased their revenue? Yeah. And by the way, you know why? A lot of it from Caitlin Clark coming into the league. Sorry to tell anybody that, but that's a fact. And the problem is that they are playing politics. I just want them to play basketball, but Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are now kind of considered, like, she's called the MAGA Barbie, which I don't believe. I think it's an unfair simplification of who she is. She's from Missouri, and she's coming out. And I saw a poll from the New York Times. I should have brought this. 79% of people believe that biological men should not play sports in women's leagues. Okay. So she's on the right side of this, generally speaking. But in the WNBA, there's a lot of resentment that Caitlin Clark came in, gets all this attention, and that Sophie Cunningham is with her and defending her. And you get a lot of pressure on these girls. And so it becomes a political thing instead of a basketball game.
Well, I have two thoughts on that. Sophie, I don't know her politics, but I would assume she's probably a liberal. But she has one issue, that she doesn't want men in her sport, you know? And then the other thing, over the weekend, someone said that this is only a WNBA problem. The NBA itself, sure. Would you like to be a woman and play in the NBA? No.
You couldn't.
Would you like to be a trans man and play in the NBA? No. What about a woman who identifies as a male? Do you want to play in the NBA? No. So it's like a one league issue.
Well, that's why I'm saying the only reason the WNBA exists is because you're identifying women, right? Otherwise, it's just one league. You either make it or you don't. But if you're a woman, they've created the WNBA, primarily funded by the NBA. Again, it's changed a little bit because Caitlin Clark came in. Some people recognize, oh, this league isn't horrible. It's okay. But if you watch the WNBA All-Star game, and I just saw a few clips, oh, this is not the NBA. I got news. An average high school team could beat them. And I know that may offend people, but that's the reality. I think.
Notice I'm not saying much else.
Yeah. I just feel like Sophie Cunningham is saying something that's very common sense.
Yeah.
And she's getting pushback for it, I think, beyond the fact that her position there. And she calls herself in the middle politically. She has supported some things that Trump has supported, but she doesn't support everything. So that's why I say it's a simplification to just call her MAGA Barbie. She's actually representing what 79% of people think. And she's
I think that's, honestly, I think that's where the Democrats are headed, to split off from their own party and become the common sense party and just leave the carcass of the Democrats to the socialist Democrats.
Or some Republicans that might want to come to the common sense party too. I mean, when you and I started, when we're in the middle, I mean, I want to,
it's like in the animal kingdom, there are parasites that can invade an animal's body and make it their own, and I think that's what we're seeing now.
So the host, I guess the parasite becomes the host.
Bingo. Happens all the time. So, all right, Bob, that's all I have for today.
That's all I have.
And you know what else?
What?
Don't fuck with the Kennedys.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye.